I'd like to start with, I have a couple transfers. I'd like to start with the dispatch communication transfer, if that's okay. I gave the original to Scott. Normally we have leftover money, as we discussed at the meeting towards the beginning of the year, where we put it into equipment or an emergency reserve. The tower kept having troubles the last couple months out there, and that's on KDOT. They kept coming out fixing it, they kept coming out fixing it, kept coming out fixing it. While they were fixing it, we were made aware that the UHF repeater that the county owns and is responsible for was very old, very antiquated, it can die at any time, and the radio technician advised us that we should probably have a plan to replace that, because we're gonna be left flat on our face. The UHF repeater is the thing that sends the page tones out, that alerts the fire and EMS that there's an emergency. He did not give me a concrete price. It was more of a, probably be around $50,000 to replace it. That being said, we do have some leftover money in our funds that we normally would transfer into the general fund for whatever. So I did prepare a transfer, to transfer the $50,000 so that we could either be prepared for the failure, because it may cost more, it may cost less, we don't know. That was just a number he came up with looking at it. Or as we get into 2025 and we start doing actual quotes at looking at what it would cost to replace that repeater, we have the money in the dispatch equipment reserve to do it.
That comes out of your budget?
Dispatch budget.
Dispatch?
It comes out of the dispatch budget, so.
So is that stuff on the tower out at Swigert?
Yes, there's two buildings out there. One building has the state equipment and the other little building has our equipment. And it's our repeater in that building, it's working right now, but the guy, when he saw it, was like, I can't believe it's still working. That should be in a museum. That's an antique. It's gonna fail someday. And when it fails, you're not gonna be able to send page stones out to fire or EMS. So
you're just gonna replace it right away then?
I'm gonna start shopping, but right now, we have to get transfers done now, so I wanted to get the transfer done, because that's gonna be a complicated business of getting the right piece of equipment and doing the quote and the shopping for it and everything. That is gonna take a little while. I would not have had enough time to get it shop for a quote and get it purchased this budget year, so that's why I'm asking to transfer the money into next.
And if we've got it set up to do it, we're not gonna be in an emergency situation.
That's what I wanna do.
Get a
I wanna do it
better
before the
price,
emergency. And we have the money, leftover money in the budget that normally would be transferred into the general funds, and I'm just asking for it to be transferred into equipment reserve for dispatch.
All of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
My paper clip.
I'll make a motion that we transfer the 50,000 over to, what'd you call it?
The dispatch equipment reserve,
Dispatch equipment reserve. Where's it coming from?
it should say on there. I put it down as from
50,000.
personnel, fund number
From
140, 35, 150.
So is this
From
like the
Oh,
911 money?
sorry.
No, this is not
I didn't see
911 money.
anything
This
like
is,
Use 911 money on
Just
that?
say
they don't
from
like to
number.
use it for the radio side, they only use it for the phone side. I'm not saying that if I didn't parlay and discuss it with them, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but that's what I'm saying. We don't have enough time to do all that negotiating and stuff before the end of the budget year. And we have the opportunity to transfer this now, and I'm not asking to spend it now, I'm just asking to transfer it into the equipment reserve.
And that would be from 001.
Well, if we can, we will, and then we can leave that in there for an emergency, because that's what that's built for, is an emergency. We could have it in there for an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to transfer the money from account 001-140-40100 to equipment reserve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that's 50,000. Okay, we gotta sign that.
Okay, I'll start on the sheriff one when you guys are ready. Okay, on the sheriff transfer, once again, like last year, when we ordered radios from Motorola, they showed up later, and I'm glad we transferred the money last year because they showed up in the next budget year. The second and final, should be the final part of the well, not really, but the last parts of the project are ordered. The money was in the budget to spend on it. They haven't shown up yet, so I'm wanting to transfer the 55,000 that is for the radio project into the equipment reserve, so when they show up next year, I can pay for them. Which is the same thing we did last year with the 40,000. And then we'll do our normal equipment reserve transfer, that's built into the budget. And that also has money for the final parts of the radio project. And then we'll be compliant with federal law once we get those and get everything installed. And then, I'm asking for, there's two requests on here. The second one is replenish equipment reserve, by $10,000, more than what I normally budget. And that's just to give myself more cushion. That one's not necessary. If you guys feel that you'd rather have that go into the general fund, that's fine. That's not a necessary one. It's just me saying I'd like to have a little bit more cushion with some of my leftover money. That's why I put 1 and 2. 1 is necessary to complete that project. 2 is just me asking for an emergency, put some money in there for emergency
Didn't you
cushion.
have a situation that gave rise to that?
Yes, we had a situation that gave rise to that of, the way we kinda lost track when we ordered those 3 vehicles over 2 years and they showed up. Money was taken out of the equipment reserve for one of them that should have came out of another fund. And this is just us replenishing that and making it right, basically. So,
Okay, now that's from this account number also?
Yeah, I would just say the last numbers.
Okay. Motion to transfer funds of 65,000 from 001-100-35150 to the equipment reserve, you said?
yes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to transfer from 40100 to equipment reserve with 55,000 going towards radios and 10,000 for covering
The overdraft?
the
They basically,
the overdraft.
It's not an overdraft, it
All in
was
favor
just an
signify by saying aye.
it just came out of the wrong fund. I wanna make
Came out of
that,
the wrong
I wanna
fund.
make that very clear. Nobody overdrafted anything. It just came out of the wrong fund. So the money's left over, it's in this fund and it needs to be moved back to that fund. So, if you guys, I don't know if you guys wanna talk about the pay scale thing or you wanna put that off for the meeting where you actually do the wage agreements and stuff.
I'd rather do it right now.
Okay, what I did is I made up a pay scale. The top part is the pay scale. The second part where it's got employees' names is where they would fit on that pay scale. It gives the hourly wage except for myself and Jeff because we're salary, so it gives the pay period wage. Then over is a total of what they'd have for a year based off of average overtime, and then the total that it would cost to do that, and there is more than that amount in my personnel line item for the thing. And this piece of paper here is kind of a really incomplete survey, because when I call different counties and ask what their pay scale is, they do not have a pay scale. They just pay them what the sheriff comes down and says to pay them. I want to be transparent. I think our public needs to know we have a pay scale, and this is what we pay people. I think we should not have an open pay scale. We should have a pay scale. That everybody knows what our pay scale is. But here, I'll pass that on too. If you want to look at it, it's kind of incomplete, but everybody usually has a starting wage for non-experienced going to Kelly TC, but they don't have what deputies get paid after they graduate from Kelly TC. That's all over the board as far as they don't have a set approved by the commissioners, everything pay scale. So. Mostly what I'm finding out is that experienced officer that's been certified and stuff, the average is around that $23 an hour, and that's where I set our pay scale. There was 2 counties that start way low, but then if you noticed on there, they go right up once they get.
Signed copies, I gave the originals
Okay,
to Stone.
thank you.
these pay scales right here are what they're getting?
That is what our current pay scale
Hour.
is supposed to be. I put 2024, that's what was approved in June of this year for the 2025 year. It says 2024 pay scale, but that's what I was sent in June. So that's the current, we'll just say that is current starting January 1st pay scale that we currently have, starting in January. Not the one they're getting paid off right now, but the one they're supposed to start in January. Wasn't it June, Scott,
What's that? Sorry.
that we got sent the new pay scales? June or July, somewhere around
Yeah,
in
May,
there.
June, somewhere in there.
Yeah. But it wasn't supposed to take effect until January 1st of this year.
And those pay scales that were sent out in May, June, whatever, that was a percentage formula that you did in your office and sent to them?
Well, they set the beginning wages, and then I figured the percentages on the 5 tiers.
And Jeff's on salary.
What's that?
Jeff's on salary.
Jeff's on salary. And I'd like to discuss some of that too, whenever I can get it back. So, on this pay scale, it is my opinion that if we move up a pay scale and we make this pay scale more robust and match what other counties are, I don't know how to say this without sounding like mean, but I believe that these guys, I think it's gonna be harder to move up this pay scale than it was the old one, is what I'm saying, because it's more robust, it's a higher pay scale. I think it's gonna take a lot to get up to that level 4. You know, not everybody's gonna be level 4. Does that, you guys get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think the level 4 is more gonna be a rank, that you have to be here, you have to get certain training, you have to demonstrate certain things. You're not just gonna be here for 4 years and get level 4. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's gonna be harder to move up this pay scale. That should be enough money that keeps us competitive and keeps us in line for a while we monitor what other people pay. And I don't see a lot of upward movement from this point anytime happening anytime soon. Does that make sense?
In the other counties.
In the other counties. And which means, you know, employee X, if their pay is $23, other than cost of living, I see them staying at that for a while, is what I'm saying. Because to get up to level 4 is gonna take a lot. You're gonna have to get a lot of training, you're gonna have to prove you're worth that. Not just because you've worked here for 4 or 5 years, but that you're worth that.
Well, it
Does
makes
that-
sense.
does that make
EMTs,
sense? Yeah.
go EMT basic, intravenous,
Yes.
paramedics, and that.
Yes, and that's, I just wanted to explain that on there, that is because of that. And I did put down there, the $1 differential for the second language, and on there I said, if you notice that Sam's, based off of his hours, Sam would make that much, but that's because he gets the most overtime because he gets called out a lot for his second language, coming out and helping because he speaks Spanish. So obviously he gets more overtime than other people, and that's why his number is different than, if you look at all the other regular base, or not base, but the regular deputies, their pay is the same, and then you have Sam just a hair more, even though his hourly wage is the same. That's just because he gets called out at 2 a.m. to go translate a motor vehicle accident or something. So he makes some overtime that way. So, but that's, I think, like I said, looking at the starting pay, you know, we're behind some counties, we're ahead of 2 other counties. Current starting wage of a certified officer, we're behind, and then the top wage. we're behind, but the average is around that $23 an hour that I'm asking for the top, or not top, the average certified pay. So I think we're right in line. If we do this pay scale, we're right in line with what the average of what is being paid in these counties, in northwest Kansas that match us on popularity. Population. I hope we're at the top of popularity. I hope people like Cheyenne County, but a population. I found counties that similar population, similar tax base. So
Okay with it?
Yeah.
I move we approve the pay scale for the sheriff's department.
and do you need another copy of this, Scott?
No, I've got.
Okay.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to raise the salary of the sheriff's deputies. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And I'm dribbling on some, I have one small thing. I talked to Ryan Murray about the corrals. And when I talked to him, he wanted to use some of his budget money to help pay for the corrals underneath the animal health side. The foreign animal health disease. We have animals that are transient coming through our county. And when we wreck, a lot of times in the past, we just cut a fence and put them in the nearest pasture and kept them contained that way. We don't know what's out there.
We did that split 55-55, right?
Well, he wants to split it third. Third out of drug fund, third out of the sheriff, third out of emergency management.
Okay,
So,
that'll be good.
so if we might need to change that motion correctly, correct?
Approved the
Oh.
amount.
What's that?
We approved the amount.
They approved the
The
amount.
amount. I mean, with the but it did say that it.
Come out of this
come
fund,
here
and this fund, and this fund.
But I think what, I mean, if Ryan's wanting to do that, he could just come in and say, hey, I'd like to, I don't know what good it would do to rescind it and remake it.
We'll just
Because
do
they're
the
already
vouchers.
purchased. This is just a reimbursement type
Right.
deal.
Yeah, so, but, like I said, he brought up a good point of the animal health part of it of, we don't know where any of these animals come from, and we're putting them into one of our producers' pastures, most likely without their permission at 2:00 in the morning. We don't know if they're sick, we don't know if they've been vaccinated, we don't know any of that, and I think we owe it to our producers that, man, I'd hate to be responsible for making 500 acres of grass unusable for somebody for 2 or 3 seasons, because we put some sick animals in there. I think there's times we might still have to do things. I mean, it's not a perfect world when you're talking about emergencies, but it gives us the option of containing those, not only for the safety of the people driving down the highway and the firefighters, but I think Ryan brought up a really good point about the foreign animal disease portion of it as well. So I will, when we get the invoice, we'll do the voucher and I'll have Ryan sign off with his fund number that he wants to use and stuff and his thing, if you guys are okay with that.
That's good.
Okay, and then per what I said at the meeting, when we actually get them, we'll take a nice picture and put them in the paper so we're transparent with the public of why we have them. So that's it for everything I have.
All right.
Did you guys have anything?
And the commissioners can use them free.
You guys make the rules, not me.
Thanks, Cody. Have a good Christmas.
You too.
Yeah, thanks.
I put in there.
I'll see you guys after Christmas.
Yes, see you next year.
Well, I hope to see you on the 30th, but
31st.
31st, but after that, we'll see you guys.
Sorry, we're running behind. And we'll be right with you. Come on. How are you?
Pretty good, Brett.
Good.
Get in. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Steve, I hate to do this to you. Can I get 5 minutes of executive session for advice of counsel? I've got a trial at 10 o'clock. And there's an issue that may come up that I think
Okay.
you need my advice on.
Okay. Sorry about that,
Sorry.
guys. We'll be right back.
I move we take 10 minutes of executive session for advice of counsel. 5 minutes.
Just 5.
Okay.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded for 5 minutes
And Steve,
executive
I'm
session
gonna ask these.
for advice of counsel.
I'm gonna ask that you step out.
Oh, I gotta go. Okay,
Completely
I
separate
didn't know
deal.
if I was part of
This isn't you, you aren't in trouble. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. This is
Thank you,
something
sorry.
that popped in my head.